this is Debbie from Lime Doodle Design, and thank you for joining me for Doodling with Debbie. Today I'm breaking out my Copic markers, dusting them off and using them to colour some autumn die cuts. I made this card the other day and then thought afterwards it would be good to share a different colouring medium to my usual watercolours. I think the picture book dies from Stamp particularly suit the clarity and rich colours you get with markers. And today I'm going to be pairing the picture book caramel apple with the leaf branch oval die. I'm using Neenah's Solar White card in the 8 pound weight, as I found this the best for colouring with alcohol markers. I die cut the leaf branch oval from one piece of card, and this cuts a window into the panel with a lovely leaf branch hanging down and a strip across, perfect for a sentiment. I cut the picture book caramel apple die twice from a second piece of card so that I can layer up a couple of the elements with foam adhesive to create more dimension. Starting out with the red apple piece of the die cut, and I have a range of Copic markers in a pinky red colourway laid out from palest to deepest colours. To get the deepest shadow, I like to add a mid-brown marker. My Copic colouring skills are quite basic. I lay down the lightest colours first, then I work my way to the darkest colours and back again to the lightest colours. Back and forth until I have a smooth blend. I try and maintain a highlight area too, and I think the play of darkest shades with the lighter highlights brings the die cuts to life. Moving on to the leaves, and as I start colouring, I've got a little of the red marker from colouring the apple on my fingers, and it's transferred to the leaves in a couple of spots. I cleaned up my fingers with one of those little alcohol wipes you have in your first aid kit, and then carried on colouring. The little red marks won't be visible by the time I've added the deepest shades. Talking of which, for greens, I like to add a BV marker for muting down the deepest shades. For the lollipop stick to go in the top of the apple, I coloured this with a few pale earth tones and then added depth with a Y28 marker. I also used this marker to draw light wood grain lines on the stick. Moving on to the caramel part of the die cut, my markers are feeling quite neglected. Several of them need a top up and all of them need a good clean if I'm honest. I don't have the refills to all the markers, but I do have the E51 refill, and so I took the opportunity for a quick top-up. Now, there are lots of tutorials on how to fill your markers correctly. The scientist in me likes the method of weighing the marker and adding refill to the correct filled weight. However, for on-the-go refilling, I pull one of the tips away with a pair of tweezers, add a few drops of refill to the barrel. I err on the side of caution so the barrel isn't overfilled and starts glooping out as I colour. Just a little to keep me going until I have the time to give the markers a proper overhaul. I coloured 2 leaves and 2 caramel dies so that I can mount them together for dimension. The lower of the 2 dies doesn't need to be coloured precisely, as most of it won't be visible, but I use it as an opportunity to colour both as best I can and then choose my favourite for the top. The various elements of the caramel apple are all individual pieces, and so to create the finished piece I add a Tsukineko glue runner to a scrap of card left over from die cutting, and added the caramel and apple pieces to it, before trimming out with a pair of scissors angled to undercut the white card so that it won't be visible. I added some of the leftover sticky card to the one side to give support, but I'll be adding lots of foam adhesive to the back of the piece so it will be held securely. I added more tape runner to the back of the apple and adhered the lollipop stick to the top. I added foam adhesive to the back of the apple, the extra caramel piece too, and also the one leaf, and then layered the leaves on top of each other, before adding first the caramel piece and then the leaves to the apple. I squidged a little Tsukineko Connect glue under the leaf to make sure it was securely held in place. I added a twine bow and trimmed the ends with the awesome Holtz snips, which are great for cutting just about anything. I then used a sparkle pen to add some more shimmer to the apple and leaf. I then set the toffee apple aside while I worked on the leaf branch oval die cut. The leaves are small on the branch, so I only use 2 colours of marker for each colourway. A little of the light colour, followed by a touch of the dark colour, and a quick brush over with the lightest colour again to blend. I chose an autumn palette of red, orange, green and yellow, with a brown branch, and then when I'd finished colouring, I rubbed a little Ranger Multimedia matte over the leaves before dunking them in the big tub of Holtz Rock Candy Distress Glitter. For the sentiment on this card, I'm using the lovely 30 Days of Thankful 2019 from CZ Design, and the Simple Joys greeting fits just perfectly on the strip across the die. I stamped it in VersaFine Clair PINECONE ink for a good impression first time, and I also thought the deep brown went well with the theme more than the traditional black sentiment. I stamped the greeting just slightly above the midway point so that I could add a piece of pattern paper underneath. I ran a thin line of Tsukineko Connect glue to the paper and then lined it up underneath the sentiment. I then added a bunch of foam adhesive to the back of the panel and adhered it to a Neenah Solar White card base in the 110-pound weight. I then added the caramel apple on top with more foam adhesive, making sure to add a double layer of foam tape where the apple sat over the oval opening of the background. Now that everything is in place, I can add the shine to the apple and caramel with Ranger glossy accents. You can't beat adding a shine to give extra interest, and the only thing to remember is it takes time to dry, so don't add it until the end when you won't be fiddling around with the card too much more. The leaf branch oval die would make a great shaker card, but I just added a few sequins here and there and held them in place with Tsukineko Connect glue. I'm not going to do this now as the glossy accents is still wet, but once it dries, I'll add 2 googly eyes to the apple to bring it to life. So here you can see my first version of this card, again complete with eyes in place. I think colouring with markers really brings these die cuts to life and adds impact to this clean and simple card. On the Stamp blog, you'll find a coordinating blog post as well as details of the supplies I've used today. If you want to find me, I blog over at limedoodledesign.com. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.